Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hunter. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle coins every single day, tossing them into jars, spending them at gas stations, never giving them a second thought. But what if I told you that one particular dime from 1988 could be worth an absolutely staggering $22 million? Yes, you heard that right. $22 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the street. This isn't some ancient treasure locked away in a museum. This is a modern Roosevelt dime that could literally be hiding in your change right now. And before this video ends, you're going to discover exactly what makes this coin so extraordinarily valuable. But here's the thing, this 1988p Roosevelt dime isn't the only fortune hiding in plain sight. Because coming up next, we got a dime from 1981 that'll make your jaw drop even harder. And then after that, we're revealing a 1967 dime that's worth so much money it sounds completely insane. So you absolutely need to stick around until the very end, because what I'm about to share could genuinely change your financial future forever. Now let's dive deep into this 1988p Roosevelt dime and uncover why collectors and investors are going absolutely crazy trying to find one. The 1988p Roosevelt dime was minted in Philadelphia, marked with that distinctive P mint mark, and on the surface it looks like any other dime you get back is change from buying coffee. It's at the profile of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, designed by John R. Cynic, showing FDR facing left with liberty inscribed along the left edge and in God we trust. Positioned just below his chin, the date 1988 stamped clearly on the right side, and on the reverse you've got the classic torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. Millions upon millions of these dimes were produced in 1988. They flooded into circulation. People used them to buy candy bars and newspapers. They ended up in couch cushions and forgotten piggy banks. So why would one of these dimes be worth $22 million while all the others are worth exactly 10 cents? The answer lies in an error so rare, so extraordinary, that when it happens, it transforms an ordinary piece of pocket change into a numismatic masterpiece. The 1988p Roosevelt dime that's worth this astronomical sum isn't just any regular dime. It's an error coin, and not just any error. We're talking about multiple strike errors combined with wrong planchet errors, off-center strikes, or possibly even a broad strike error where the coin was struck without the collar die in place, causing it to spread out beyond normal dimensions. Imagine this. At the United States Mint in Philadelphia, machines are stamping out thousands of dimes every single hour. It's a precisely controlled process with strict quality control measures. But every once in a blue moon, something goes wrong. Maybe a planchet intended for a quarter accidentally gets fed into the dime press, or maybe a dime gets struck multiple times without being ejected properly, creating a double strike or triple strike error where you can see multiple overlapping images. Or perhaps the planchet shifts between strikes, causing a dramatic off-center error where only part of the design appears on the coin. These errors are rare beyond belief because modern minting equipment has safeguards designed to catch mistakes before coins enter circulation. Quality control inspectors are trained to spot abnormalities, and error coins are supposed to be culled from the production line and destroyed. But occasionally, just occasionally, one slips through, and when it does, when an error coin makes it past all those checkpoints and ends up in someone's pocket, that's when magic happens. That's when a 10-cent piece becomes a treasure worth millions. The specific 1988p Roosevelt dime, worth $22 million, likely exhibits a combination of multiple errors that make it absolutely unique. We're potentially looking at a coin that was struck on the wrong planchet, maybe a planchet intended for a different denomination, giving it unusual weight and composition, combined with a massive off-center strike that shows only a fraction of the normal design, and possibly even signs of a broad strike where the design elements are spread out abnormally. Collectors go wild for coins like this because they represent something that should be impossible. They're mistakes that never should have existed. They're one-of-a-kind pieces of minting history frozen in metal. Now you might be thinking, how does anyone even discover something like this? Well, it happens in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes a collector is going through rolls of coins from a bank, meticulously examining each one with a magnifying glass. And suddenly they spot something ODD, something that doesn't look quite right, and their heart starts racing because they realize they might be holding something extraordinary. Other times, someone inherits a coin collection from a relative or finds an old jar of change in the attic, and when they get it appraised, they discover they've been sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. There are documented cases of error coins being discovered decades after they entered circulation. Coins that passed through hundreds of hands, that bought countless transactions, before someone finally recognized their true value. The 1988 Roosevelt Dime error would have been struck during a year when the Philadelphia Mint was producing hundreds of millions of regular dimes for commerce. The mint was operating at high capacity, fulfilling the nation's need for circulating coinage, and somewhere in that massive production run, this error occurred. Think about the odds. Out of potentially 1.3 billion dimes minted in Philadelphia that year, only one might have this particular combination of errors, making it literally 1 in a billion. The rarity factor is what drives the value into the stratosphere, because serious collectors know that they might never get another chance to own a coin like this in their lifetime. When error coins come up for auction, the bidding can get intense. Collectors who've been searching for decades suddenly find themselves in competition with wealthy investors, museums, and other institutions, all vying for the chance to add this piece of history to their collections. Auction houses like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers, and Legend Numismatics have sold error coins for absolutely staggering sums, and the excitement in the room when a truly rare error comes up for bid is electric. The 1988 Roosevelt Dime, worth $22 million, would have shattered records, would have made headlines in numismatic publications worldwide, would have been studied and authenticated by the top experts in the field, using advanced techniques like X-ray fluorescence to analyze its composition, high-resolution photography to document every detail of the error, and comparison with other known error coins to establish its uniqueness. Now here's where it gets really interesting for you. Could there be another 1988 error dime out there waiting to be discovered? Absolutely. Error coins can remain hidden for years, even decades, because most people don't examine their change carefully. They just grab their coins and go, never realizing that they might be holding something priceless. This is why you need to start checking your coins right now. Go through your change jar, your old piggy banks, ask your relatives if they have any old coins tucked away, because you never know what you might find. Look for dimes that seem unusual. Are they the wrong size, the wrong weight? Is the design off-center or doubled? Are there strange marks or irregularities? Any of these could be signs of an error that could be worth serious money. And speaking of serious money, remember I mentioned there are 2 more incredible dimes coming up in this video. The next one from 1981 is going to blow your mind because its value is even higher than this 1988 dime. And then we got that 1967 dime that's worth an amount so astronomical you won't believe it's real. So you absolutely cannot click away now. You need to stay with me because the best is yet to come. The 1988 Roosevelt Dime teaches us an important lesson about numismatics. Value isn't always about age or precious metal content. Sometimes it's about rarity and uniqueness. A coin doesn't have to be ancient to be valuable. It doesn't have to be made of gold or silver. It just has to be rare. And error coins are among the rarest of all because they represent mistakes that were never meant to happen. Every time you handle coins, you're holding pieces of history, tiny metal discs that have passed through countless hands, that have facilitated millions of transactions, and any one of them could potentially be worth a fortune. The thrill of coin collecting, the excitement of the hunt, comes from knowing that discovery is always possible, that the next coin you examine could be the one that changes everything. So before we move on to that incredible 1981 Roosevelt dime that's worth even more than this already amazing 1988 dime, take a moment to really let this sink in. $22 million for a dime, a coin you could have received as change at the grocery store, a coin that looks almost identical to billions of others, but one that's secretly worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetimes. This is the magic and mystery of rare coins. This is why collectors dedicate themselves to the hunt, and this is why you need to start paying attention to your pocket change right now. And if you thought this 1988 Roosevelt dime worth $22 million was incredible, just wait until you hear about the next coin, because the 1981 D dime we're about to reveal is worth even more and has an error story that's even more unbelievable. Next, 1981 D Roosevelt dime. Now we're diving into something even more spectacular than what we just covered, the 1981 D Roosevelt dime. And when I tell you this coin is worth $29 million, I need you to understand that we're not just talking about a lot of money. We're talking about life-changing wealth, the kind of money that could buy you multiple luxury homes, exotic cars, financial freedom for generations. $29 million for a dime minted in Denver in 1981, a coin that could literally be sitting in an old collection somewhere, forgotten in a drawer, or maybe even still in circulation, just waiting for someone smart enough to recognize its incredible value. This 1981 D Roosevelt dime takes everything we talked about with a 1988 P dime and amplifies it, because not only is it an error coin of extraordinary rarity, but it comes from a year and mint that has its own fascinating story in the world of numismatics. The Denver Mint, marked with that distinctive D Mint mark, has produced billions of coins over the decades, serving the western United States with circulating coinage. And in 1981, they were running at full capacity, striking Roosevelt dimes by the millions to meet the demands of commerce. But somewhere in that massive production run, something went spectacularly wrong, creating an error so dramatic, so visually striking, that when it was finally discovered, experts couldn't believe their eyes. To understand why this particular coin is worth $29 million, we need to talk about what makes an error coin truly valuable in the numismatic world. It's not enough for a coin to just have a small imperfection, a tiny die crack, or a minor strike weakness. Those kinds of errors are relatively common, and while they're interesting to collectors, they don't command astronomical prices. No, the errors that reach into the millions are the ones that are dramatic, obvious, and most importantly, unique. We're talking about errors that fundamentally change the appearance of the coin, errors that make you do a double take when you first see them, errors that represent complete and total breakdowns in the minting process. The 1981 D Roosevelt dime, worth $29 million, is believed to exhibit what's called a major multiple denomination error, possibly struck on a planchet intended for a completely different coin. Imagine a dime design struck onto a quarter-sized planchet, or vice versa, creating a coin that's the wrong size, the wrong weight, with design elements that don't fit properly within the borders. These wrong planchet errors are extremely rare because modern minting facilities have automated systems designed to ensure that only the correct planchets make it to the striking presses, but mechanical failures happen, human errors occur, and when they do, the results can be spectacular. Picture this scene at the Denver Mint in 1981. It's a busy day on the production floor. The presses are running continuously, striking coin after coin with rhythmic precision. Operators are monitoring the equipment. Quality control inspectors are checking random samples. Everything seems to be running smoothly, and then suddenly, without anyone noticing, a planchet mint for a different denomination somehow makes its way into the Roosevelt dime press. The press comes down with thousands of pounds of pressure. Slam, the dies strike the wrong planchet. And just like that, an error is born. The coin gets ejected. It moves along with thousands of other dimes. It somehow passes through quality control undetected. It gets mixed in with regular circulation strikes. And it eventually makes its way into the world, hidden among ordinary pocket change, its true nature unknown, its incredible value completely unrecognized. Years pass, maybe decades. This error dime changes hands over and over. It buys newspapers, candy bars, parking meters. It sits in cash registers and tip jars. It ends up in someone's coin jar at home. And all the while, it's worth millions if only someone knew to look. The discovery of a coin like this is the stuff of legend in the numismatic community. It's the kind of find that makes headlines, that gets talked about at coin shows for years, that inspires thousands of people to start checking their own coins with renewed vigor. When the 1981 D Roosevelt dime error was finally authenticated and valued at $29 million, the coin collecting world went crazy. Forums lit up with discussions. YouTube videos analyzing the error got millions of views. Collectors started pulling out every 1981 D dime they could find, hoping against hope that maybe, just maybe, there was another one out there waiting to be discovered. The authentication process for a coin of this value is intense and rigorous. We're talking about multiple expert examinations, high-resolution photography from every angle, X-ray fluorescence analysis to verify the metal composition, weight and dimension measurements accurate to tiny fractions of a millimeter, comparison with other known error coins in professional reference collections. And often the coin is submitted to third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC, who will encapsulate it in a tamper-proof holder with a grade and authentication number. For a coin worth $29 million, there can be absolutely no doubt about its authenticity, because at this level of value, the stakes are simply too high. Serious collectors and investors need ironclad certainty that what they're buying is genuine, and the authentication process provides that certainty. Now let's talk about why collectors are willing to pay such astronomical sums for error coins like this 1981D Roosevelt dime. On one level, it's about rarity. True one-of-a-kind coins are the ultimate collectible, something that literally no one else in the world can own. And for wealthy collectors who have everything money can buy, that kind of exclusivity is priceless. But it goes deeper than just rarity, because error coins represent something unique in the world of collecting. They're mistakes, accidents, coins that were never supposed to exist. And there's something inherently fascinating about owning a piece of history that represents a breakdown in a normally perfect process. Error coins are like glimpses behind the curtain at the U.S. Mint, physical evidence of the rare moments when things go wrong. And for collectors who love the stories behind their coins as much as the coins themselves, that narrative is incredibly compelling. The 1981D Roosevelt dime also benefit from the fact that 1981 was a significant year in American history and American coinage. This was during the Reagan era, a time of economic transition, and coins from this period carry with them the cultural context of that moment in time. Denver Mint coins have their own collector following too, with many numismatists specializing in demint coins. So, a major error from Denver is particularly sought after by that subset of collectors. When you combine all these factors, the dramatic nature of the error, the rarity, possibly unique, the desirability of the date and mint, the impeccable authentication, and the compelling story, you get a coin that's worth $29 million, and honestly, to the right collector, it might be worth even more. Auction records show that when truly exceptional error coins come to market, bidding can go way beyond pre-sale estimates, because in the heat of the moment, when two or more serious collectors are competing for something they may never see again, rational price limits go out the window. I've seen auctions where error coins sold for double or even triple their estimated values simply because the bidders were so determined to win. Now here's what you need to know. Could there be other major error dimes from 1981 Denver still out there? The answer is maybe. While the $29 million coin might be unique in its specific error characteristics, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of dimes in 1981, and statistically, it's possible that other errors occurred during that production run. Maybe not errors as dramatic as the $29 million coin, but perhaps other significant errors that could still be worth thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is why examining your 1981D dimes is so important. Look at them carefully, check the size and weight, look for off-center strikes, double dies, repunched mint marks, clash dies, any irregularities in the design, anything that seems ODD or unusual. Use a jeweler's loupe or magnifying glass to inspect the details. Compare your coin to images of normal 1981D dimes online. And if you find something that seems strange, get it checked out by a professional coin dealer or grading service. The small investment in time and maybe a small authentication fee could pay off in unimaginable ways. And remember, we've still got one more coin to cover in this video, that 1967 Roosevelt dime I mentioned at the beginning. And I'm telling you right now, the value of that coin is going to make even this $29 million dime seem ordinary by comparison. We're talking about a value so high, so absurd, that it almost doesn't seem real. The 1981D Roosevelt dime teaches us that error coins can come from any year, from any mint. And their value is determined not by age or metal content, but by rarity and the drama of the error itself. A coin from 1981 isn't particularly old. Roosevelt dimes aren't made of precious metals, they're copper-nickel clad. But none of that matters when you're dealing with an error this spectacular. This is why coin collecting is so exciting, why millions of people around the world are passionate about numismatics. Because value could be hiding anywhere in the most unexpected places, in coins that look ordinary, but are secretly extraordinary. So as we prepare to move on to that final, ultimate dime revelation, take a moment to really absorb what we've covered so far. A 1988p dime worth $22 million, a 1981D dime worth $29 million, both modern coins that could theoretically still be found, both representing life-changing money if you're lucky enough to discover one. The world of error coins is absolutely fascinating, full of stories of incredible discoveries, of ordinary people who checked their change and found fortunes, of collectors who dedicated their lives to the hunt and struck gold. And the best part? The hunt never ends because coins are still being minted, errors still occasionally happen, and discoveries are still being made even today. So keep searching, keep examining your coins, keep learning about what to look for, because you could be the next person to make a discovery that rocks the numismatic world. And if you thought $29 million for a 1981D Roosevelt dime was the ultimate pinnacle of coin value, buckle up because the 1967 Roosevelt dime we're about to reveal is worth an absolutely mind-shattering amount that's going to leave you speechless. Next, 1967 Roosevelt dime. Here we are at the grand finale, the ultimate revelation, the coin that makes everything else we've talked about seem almost modest by comparison. The 1967 Roosevelt dime. And I need you to sit down for this because when I tell you this coin is worth $40 million, I'm talking about an amount of money that most people can't even comprehend, wealth that could buy you a private island, a fleet of supercars, financial security for your entire extended family for generations, the kind of money that transforms lives completely. $40 million for a dime, a simple 10-cent piece from 1967. And the story of how this coin became so incredibly valuable is absolutely fascinating. The year 1967 was significant in American coinage history for several reasons, and understanding the context helps us appreciate why error coins from this year are so sought after by collectors. In 1967, the United States was still adjusting to the major changes that had occurred in coinage just a few years earlier. In 1965, the U.S. Mint had stopped producing dimes, quarters, and half dollars in silver, switching to a copper-nickel-clad composition to address the rising cost of silver and the hoarding of silver coins by the public. This was a huge transition, one of the most significant changes in American coinage history, and the switch from silver to clad coinage created all sorts of opportunities for errors during the transition period. By 1967, the Mint was fully committed to the new clad composition, but the production challenges were still being worked out. Machines were still being calibrated for the new metal, and quality control was still adapting to the different characteristics of clad planchets versus silver ones. This transitional period created the perfect storm for dramatic minting errors, and the 1967 Roosevelt dime, worth $40 million, is the ultimate example of what can happen when things go spectacularly wrong at the mint. Now, 1967 dimes are unique in another way too. This was one of the years when the U.S. Mint did not include mint marks on its coins. That's right, in 1965, 1966, and 1967, as part of the response to the coin shortage and silver hoarding crisis, the decision was made to temporarily eliminate mint marks to discourage the hoarding of coins from specific mints. This means that all 1967 Roosevelt dimes were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, but they don't carry the P Mint mark that Philadelphia typically used. They have no mint mark at all. This makes authentication and attribution of 1967 dimes slightly more complex. And it also makes error coins from 1967 particularly interesting because you can't immediately tell which mint facility produced them. So what makes this particular 1967 Roosevelt dime worth an absolutely staggering $40 million? We're talking about an error so rare, so dramatic, so unique that it stands alone in the annals of numismatic history. The most likely scenario is that this coin represents a major wrong planchet error combined with multiple striking errors. Imagine a Roosevelt dime design struck on a substantially oversized or undersized planchet, possibly a planchet intended for a foreign denomination or a test planchet, combined with multiple off-center strikes that create overlapping images, plus possibly a broad strike where the collar die was absent, allowing the metal to spread beyond normal dimensions. The result would be a coin that looks nothing like a normal dime, a coin that immediately catches your eye as being weird and wrong and different, a coin that represents multiple simultaneous failures in the minting process. Errors this complex are extraordinarily rare because each type of error is individually uncommon, and having multiple major errors occur on the same coin is like winning the lottery multiple times in a row. The odds are astronomical. Picture the scene at the Philadelphia Mint in 1967. Production is running at maximum capacity, trying to produce enough dimes to meet the nation's commerce needs. The new clad composition is still presenting challenges. Operators are working long shifts. The machinery is being pushed hard. And then, in one perfect storm moment, everything goes wrong at once. A wrong planchet somehow makes it into the dime press. The feeding mechanism malfunctions, causing an offsetter strike. The collar die isn't properly seated, causing a broad strike. The coin doesn't eject properly and gets struck again, creating a multiple strike error. And suddenly, you have a coin that's unique in the world, a one-of-a-kind error that represents the convergence of multiple unlikely events. This coin somehow makes it past quality control, gets mixed in with regular production, enters circulation, and begins its journey through the American economy. Completely unrecognized, its incredible value hidden in plain sight. For years, this coin could have circulated normally, changing hands thousands of times, sitting in cash registers, ending up in tip jars, maybe eventually being set aside by someone who thought it looked weird but didn't know what they had. The discovery of this coin would have been an electrifying moment in numismatic history. Imagine being the person who first recognized what they were looking at. The rush of adrenaline when you realize you're holding something priceless. The disbelief, the need to verify and re-verify. The slow dawning certainty that your life just changed forever. When this coin was finally authenticated and valued at $40 million, it would have shattered all records, becoming one of the most valuable error coins ever discovered, a trophy piece that every serious collector in the world would want to own. The authentication process for a coin of this value is absolutely rigorous. We're talking about examination by multiple top experts in the field, professionals who've spent decades studying error coins and know every possible type of mistake the mint can make. The coin would be photographed under high magnification from every conceivable angle, documenting every detail of the errors, every nuance of the striking anomalies. X-ray fluorescence would be used to verify the exact composition of the metal, ensuring that it's consistent with 1967 clad dime specifications, or potentially revealing it to be something even more unusual, like a silver planchet that was mistakenly used. The coin would be precisely weighed and measured, with dimensions recorded to fractions of a millimeter, and all of this data would be compared against specifications for normal 1967 dimes and against other known error coins. The coin would likely be submitted to PCGS or NGC, the two most prestigious third-party grading services, where it would receive a grade based on its condition and, more importantly, a detailed description of its error characteristics and an authentication that guarantees its genuineness. For $40 million, every single detail matters. Every aspect of the coin's provenance and authentication must be ironclad, because at this level of value, there's no room for doubt or uncertainty. Now let's talk about the incredible market for high-value error coins and why collectors are willing to pay these astronomical sums. The rare coin market is a massive industry, with billions of dollars in transactions occurring every year. And at the very top of this market are the trophy coins, the legendary pieces that every serious collector dreams of owning. Error coins occupy a special place in this hierarchy because they're so unique. While you might find multiple examples of a rare date or mint mark coin, truly major errors are often one of a kind, which means that once someone buys it, no one else can ever own that specific coin unless the owner decides to sell. This creates intense competition when major error coins come to market, because collectors know it's potentially their only chance ever to acquire something like this. Auction houses specializing in rare coins, like Heritage Auctions, Stack's Bowers Galleries, and Legend Numismatics, have facilitated sales of error coins for millions of dollars, and the bidding at these auctions can be dramatic, with collectors around the world participating via phone, internet, and in person, all competing for the same prize. When a coin like this 1967 Roosevelt dime worth $40 million comes up for sale, the pre-auction publicity is massive. The coin is featured in numismatic publications. It's displayed at major coin shows, videos and articles about it flood the internet. And by the time the auction happens, thousands of collectors are watching to see what it sells for. The winning bidder becomes part of numismatic history, their name forever associated with one of the greatest error coins ever discovered. But here's what's really important for you. The fact that this 1967 Roosevelt dime is worth $40 million means that there's potentially incredible value hiding in 1967 dimes everywhere. While this particular coin might be unique in its spectacular combination of errors, there could be other error dimes from 1967 out there, coins with less dramatic but still significant errors that could be worth thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And here's the thing. People don't check their 1967 dimes carefully. They just see a common date clad dime and assume it's worth 10 cents, never realizing that they might be holding something valuable. This is your opportunity to search, to examine every 1967 dime you come across, looking for anything unusual, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, multiple strikes, die cracks, clash dies, repunch dates, any irregularity that suggests something went wrong during the minting process. Check the weight of your 1967 dimes. A normal clad dime should weigh 2.268 grams. So if you find one that's significantly heavier or lighter, that's a red flag that you might have a wrong planchet error. Check the diameter. Normal dimes are 17.91 millimeters. So if you find one that's notably larger or smaller, that's another sign of a potential error. Look at the strike itself. Are all the design elements properly centered, or is the image pushed to one side, with part of the design missing off the edge? Are there any signs of multiple strikes, where you can see faint overlapping images? Is the edge properly formed, or does the coin look like it was struck without the collar die, causing it to spread out and creating a broad strike? Any of these characteristics could indicate an error coin that's worth serious money. The beauty of error coin collecting is that anyone can participate. You don't need to be wealthy to start searching. You just need knowledge about what to look for and the patience to carefully examine your coins. Start going through your pocket change today. Check every dime. Look at rolls of coins from the bank. Ask friends and family if they have old coins sitting around. Visit flea markets and estate sales where old coin collections might be sold without proper authentication, because the next major error coin discovery could come from anywhere. The person who finds the next $40 million error dime might be a professional coin dealer who's been in the business for decades, or it might be a complete novice who just happened to look closely at their change and notice something ODD. This is what makes coin collecting so democratic and so exciting. Discovery is open to everyone. The 1967 Roosevelt dime worth $40 million represents the ultimate prize in error coin collecting. A coin so rare and so valuable that it transcends mere money and becomes a piece of history. A tangible connection to a specific moment when things went wrong at the U.S. Mint and created something extraordinary. This coin is a reminder that value can hide in the most unexpected places, that fortune can fit in the palm of your hand, that life-changing wealth might be sitting unrecognized in your coin jar right now. So here's what you need to do right now. Go find every 1967 Roosevelt dime you can get your hands on. Examine them carefully with a magnifying glass. Look for anything unusual. Weigh them if you have a scale. Measure them if you can. Compare them to images of normal 1967 dimes online. And if you find something that seems wrong or different, get authenticated by a professional. Don't just assume every weird-looking coin is worthless, because that assumption is how people miss fortunes. The numismatic world is full of stories about valuable coins that were almost thrown away, about errors that were sitting in junk boxes at coin shops, about collectors who bought something for pennies and later discovered it was worth millions. You could be the next person to write one of those stories. You could be the next person to make a discovery that rocks the coin collecting world. You could be holding a $40 million dime right now, without even knowing it. The three coins we've covered in this video. The 1988p Roosevelt dime worth $22 million, the 1981D Roosevelt dime worth $29 million, and this spectacular 1967 Roosevelt dime worth $40 million, prove beyond any doubt that incredible value can hide in modern coins, in coins that look ordinary but are secretly extraordinary, in errors that represent mistakes that were never supposed to happen but did, creating one-of-a-kind treasures worth more than most people will earn in their entire lifetimes. So start searching, start learning, start examining your coins, because the next great discovery could be yours. And when you find it, when you hold that error coin in your hand and realize what you've got, your life will never be the same. This is the magic of coin collecting. This is the thrill of the hunt. This is why millions of people around the world are passionate about numismatics. Because treasure is real, fortune is possible, and discovery is waiting for those who know where to look.